This is Andrew Pollack. You know, I understand that there have been better than 300 books written by the parents of those who've lost kids in shootings. I got to tell you, though, Andrew's was gripping, and I urge you to read it, but not without a box of tissues. It will set you back when you realize all the opportunities that are out there to pursue Nicholas Cruz. There is a technology for this, though. Andrew Pollack's mission is to use this technology to try to prevent the kind of thing that killed his beautiful daughter. The principals behind that technology are with us right now. The company's CEO, Lee Mandel, and a guy you might recognize as Vito from the hit TV show The Sopranos, Joseph Giannascoli. I shook Joseph's hand. He almost broke it. So I will not argue with anything that he says. I don't know. Lee, you might be another story. No, seriously, gentlemen, welcome to both of you. You took a vested interest in this because you have a child in elementary school. You saw what happened here. You didn't want that to happen, right?
Right. I was talking to my neighbor who happened to be Lee's aunt.
Right.
And one of the incidents happened. My daughter Viviana was 6 at the time. And, I was freaking out. And she said, my nephew Lee, he's doing some great work. Maybe you should go see him. So I went to go see him at the IntraLogic Solutions and was so impressed with what he was doing. I said, I know a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. I'd like to help. Not only in schools, I just took him to the great people at Lowe's Home Improvement in North Carolina. And I continue to meet people and introduce, and they're always so impressed. After Lee does the presentation, it's just remarkable how they want to expand and go forward and
yeah,
learn
I
more.
didn't understand the technology, so a little more about your comment. But I was wondering, it does provide cameras everywhere and a way for police on hand to see images that maybe in what happened in the case of Parkland, they could have pounced on a lot sooner. Explain to me how it works.
So we realized after Parkland, seconds matter, and like Andy says, seconds truly save lives. A few seconds, some of these people could have been alive. So what we want to do is get the first responders the information they need as quick as possible. So our one-button lockdown, we hit that button in the school, it immediately activates the cameras for law enforcement to see. They can control
the cameras. Are activated already. This opens them up to law enforcement, and it locks all the doors, so the police are doing that.
Yep, the police, it'll actually lock all the doors within the school, the exterior doors, let everyone know via an audible announcement that we're in a lockdown. So again, getting everyone in the classrooms quick. But now law enforcement can track the shooter electronically, automatically, release doors, speak over the PA, so it really gives immediate response time.
What about catching the shooter before he starts shooting? Now, Nicholas Cruz, the weird thing, and you realize it in Pollack's book, they knew about him. They knew he was a problem dating back to middle school. A lot of kids later on, when told it was Cruz, or they were not all surprised. Now, if that picture were available as he was getting into the school, that could have gotten authorities a heads up, right?
Exactly. Using facial recognition technology, if he's on a suspension list or an expulsion list, we're immediately able to alert before he even enters.
Did he have any disguise when he entered there? Facial disguise?
Nothing that would have eliminated us from being able to see that before he entered the property. When he got out of that Uber, if we were able to capture that just from a perimeter camera, we'd be able to literally see in real time before he even enters the campus.
But who would be watching it? Most people are not watching people going into a school.
So the concept is the alerting. So what we do is we set up the software to send alerts to security personnel, principals, staff members, as well as any guard personnel within the school.
So, Joe, you're looking at that, and there are already a lot of privacy advocates who say, whoa, 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 whoa. You're going one step too far, you say?
I say if it's going to save lives, let's, fix it, or, whatever has to be done, because if that would have happened and you would have been alerted, I mean, it's happened, who knows, I don't want to speculate, but...
No, I know what you're saying. Do you think schools should have, a lot of them make it very tough for someone to get in, even parents who come in, the doors are locked, you have to be buzzed in. We've learned, certainly in some of these cases, not in the Cruz case, where they just come in guns a-blazing and they break in, and then, nothing's going to prevent them from doing what they're doing. Could your technology handle that?
100%. We call it 4 points. We start with infrastructure hardening, securing the perimeter, to hope they never get in. Obviously, information sharing, see something, say something, report something, social media. But God forbid they do get in, that's when we handle the integrated response. That seconds matter, seconds save lives, speed it up.
It's a lot of money, and a lot of schools don't have that money, right?
Well, the grants is really what it's all about, and Andy Pollack's creating a national grant program in partnership with us to give millions of dollars to school districts districts around the nation. We're going to start applications with Andrew Pollack beginning of next month, actually.
The bottom line, you have to know the strange characters who are trying to get into a school, right? So who would be doing that watching?
So I think the key is knowing who is expelled, who's suspended. Typically what we find is the people who are coming to these buildings are known. They're known potential threats. So having that database and knowing who the potential threat is really makes it much easier to be able to control the situation.
So for your child, let's say they're concerned about another kid in the class who's just weirding them out. And we always hear these cases. But there was one in the Miami-Dade public school system who was a student who had terrifying drawings. Turns out he was just a kid who liked to draw terrifying stuff. He was transferred out of the school. He didn't mean to do it, but now he's been ostracized and he's out.
It's the world we live in now, Neil. And you know, you can't really kid something on, say something on Facebook,
Right.
and you get sent off an alert. It is, and kids should be educated about that. You know, it's just a different world, and it's not like it was. So be careful what you say and what you do, because you're going to have a problem.
Do either of you have any thoughts on this push, 145 CEOs who've been pushing Congress to get guns under control, do something about them? Do you think that's part of the mix? I talked to Andrew Pollack about it. He said it's essentially ass backwards. That's not the issue as much as this is.
I think we focus on the issue at hand and the information sharing, hardening that target.
And this kid got his guns, Nicholas Cruz, legally.
Yeah.
He went through the system.
There's a lot of other things we have to work on as well, when it comes to technology, when it comes to really training. A lot of these schools aren't properly trained on what to do during an active shooter. So that's our focus, is really what we can do with the holistic approach to really train and use technology to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Have you talked to kids down there and hey, be prepared, this is what you do?
You know, I point things out to her on the news, and they, go through it at school, but it's a reality, and because they're not, thinking about it all the time. I am.
Yeah.
If I'm in, a populated area, I'm always thinking, like, what if I start hearing shots? What am I going to do? Where's my daughter? Where's my wife if she's with me,
I hear you. God help the person who's going to challenge you, though. It's going to be a long day. All right. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Again, Andrew Pollack behind this, the idea that we've got to do something and we've got to think differently. This is a step in that direction. More after this.